let's talk about ammo. New players might not always understand that the set of shells loaded on a tank by default may not always be the optimal option. For example, let's take a look at HE rounds. HE rounds are excellent for quickly knocking off some time from an enemy base capture when you don't want to risk not penetrating the enemy tank capping the base, or when engaging tanks that lack armor. Make note that HE shells shouldn't be used as primary shells for the majority of vehicles. But there are always exceptions to this rule. Note that some high-caliber guns are better tuned to fire HE shells. The KV-2 is one of the most obvious examples of this. Premium ammo shells are more expensive, but they also have higher penetration and sometimes deal more damage. Purchasing this ammo makes your life easier, but I recommend that you use them only in the most critical situations, like facing a heavily armored opponent of a higher tier. Filling your tank's ammo bay exclusively with premium ammo can be costly. Equipment. There are many equipment choices in World of Tanks console, but which ones are best? It entirely depends on the type of vehicle you play. But I certainly wouldn't be wrong in saying that every tank should have a gun rammer. No exceptions. A gun rammer provides a 10% reduction in gun loading time, which allows you to send more shells downrange. It makes sense to mount coated optics on all types of vehicles except TDs and artillery. You should equip those with the Binocular Telescope. What's the difference? Coated optics add 10% to your view range, while the Binocular Telescope adds 25%. But the latter only activates after you've been stationary for 3 seconds. Let's imagine a simple case of using coated optics. There are 2 identical tanks on the battlefield. The player who has the optics will spot their opponent sooner, which means they'll react sooner, fire sooner, and thus have an advantage. Now let's take a look at the enhanced gun laying drive and vertical stabilizers. They both do the same thing, improve accuracy, but they actually work a bit differently. The gun laying drive gives you a 10% reduction in aim time. It's good for TDs, artillery, and those heavies that are lacking in accuracy. With the stabilizers, on the other hand, the aiming circle starts out 20% smaller, which lets you aim faster and fire on the move. This bonus is more useful for medium and light tanks. 2 other equipment pieces to consider is the camouflage net and improved ventilation. The former will come in handy for those who favor a passive playstyle. Again, think tank destroyers and artillery. Even though it needs 3 seconds of standing still to start working, your tank will be much harder to spot after those 3 seconds. Keep in mind that the size of your vehicle matters a lot here. The mouse won't benefit much from the camouflage net. Improved ventilation provides a 5% boost for all crew members. The boost is always great to have, especially if you have a fully trained Brothers in Arms skill. Equipment can always be removed, but note that only the Binocular Telescope, camouflage net, and toolbox can be unequipped for free. Other equipment requires gold to dismount, or else it will disappear. Purchasing equipment is a great way to improve your chances of victory and survival. Roll out! See you on the battlefield!